Anthems galore. Who's this?
This is Travis King and our boy Heeta.
Oh, yeah, he just sent this to us.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, when the chorus comes, bop it back up again.
He's going to be at the tailgate next week.
Oh, yeah.
When the Niners host the Seahawks in their home opener.
Diehard.
He is a diehard.
I know.
He's all about the Niners. All about the Niners.
And then Locksmith put out a freestyle as well in the car. It was pretty sweet. It wasn't a freestyle. He clearly wrote it.
Yeah,
Turn this up right here.
It was good. So check this out.
I'm feeling this one.
Quarterbacks in line for a new deal next offseason now include Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. But will Lamar Jackson move on from Baltimore? That's going to be very interesting there. Do not forget, Sunday, the Red and Gold pregame show with Larry Krueger and Lorenzo Neal debuts at 9 a.m. The pregame show is presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary beef, legendary quality, and Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon whiskey there. And don't forget Saturday, where is my read here for Saturday? Odyssey Kickoff with Boomer Esiason and Valenti. Starting this Saturday at 9 a.m., airing every Saturday leading up to the Super Bowl. Odyssey presents Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti, a 1-hour show with our very own Boomer Esiason, breaking down the games each week and giving his unique perspective on the NFL on and off the field. It's going to be a lot of fun. Check that out. Boomer Esiason joining the airways. That'd be a good show. We're catching up with Bill Romanowski in just a second. Let me know when Bill Romanowski is ready to go, Lutman. Mike Silver calls him more living rent-free. Silver ain't living rent-free in my head. I don't care.
Okay.
He also didn't block me, so there's that. So I have nothing to be bad about.
I got it off my chest. I'm good. I'm going to keep it moving. Someone who lives in like El Dorado Hills, 17 hours away, does not matter to me. Riding in the basement for the dead paper that is the San Francisco Chronicle.
All right. Come on. Just calm down.
You've hit your algorithm limit on there, too. You know when you click onto those articles.
Oh, I pay for the Chronicle.
Up. Oh, you pay for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the two people?
John Shea. Shea Hey Kid. I saw him the other day. Really good writer. Scott Osler. Shout out to Scott Osler. Shout out to CJ Holmes. Shout out to CJ. Sporty Green, baby. I'm never going to trash my hometown paper. It's what we grew up on. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Examiner, too.
A little afternoon style back in the day.
Yeah. Not bad. Damn. Just ripping the Chronicle. It's supposed to be Niners week, man. 888-957-9570. The roast is going until 10 o'clock today. We're going to 10 o'clock today. Jim McMahon, 9 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. Jim McMahon said a lot about his time with the Bears, said a lot about Bill Belichick. You don't want to miss that at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. We're going to replay the Jim McMahon interview right here on the Morning Roast.
So I'm looking at these Bears right now, and I want to ask you, what's the thing that you fear the most heading into this weekend? If you're looking at all the different matchups, because it feels like a big drop off from that NFC Championship matchup where we so know the Rams inside and out. There's the McVay, Shanahan storyline. You got the Stafford Lance storylines. You got all the Aaron Donald, Debo. I feel like there's just the Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Shanahan storyline, and that's about it.
There's one concern. Obviously, I'm going to be watching the offensive line. We saw the offensive line wreck the game for the LA Rams yesterday against the Buffalo Bills. The offensive line of the Bengals wrecked the game in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow couldn't even get a throw off. It wrecked the game for Mahomes in the previous Super Bowl. Offensive line broke down for the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
And in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Offensive line play, I'm going to be looking at them because you need to protect this young quarterback. You have to protect Trey Lance early on as he gets comfortable and gets the nerves out of his system. So that's the one thing I'm going to be looking at, and that's what makes me nervous. Although Robert Quinn had 18 sacks last year, I still have Trent Williams there at left tackle.
Yeah, I got to see how McGlinchey's movement is early on, and I want to see if they can establish the run when everyone knows that they want to run it. It's the same thing that happened no matter if it's Jimmy under center or Trey Lance. Everyone knows Shanahan's mantra starts with trying to establish that zone.
No doubt, and a guy who knows the Shanahans really, really well. Bill Romanowski joins the Morning Roast on a football Friday. And we know Romo, he's a 4-time Super Bowl champ. He's got history against the Bears. He won a Super Bowl with the Niners. He was at that cold-ass NFC Championship game back in 1988. And to get fired up from the football season, who else could do it better than Romo? Bill, what is happening, man? Long time no talk. Welcome back to the Roast.
Well, thank you, guys. Great to be on, and fired up for football this weekend.
How fired up were you to see the Bills go out there and kick the Rams' ass yesterday?
You know what? I loved it. Josh Allen showed that, hey, for a half, we had a really good football game. And you come back the second half, Josh Allen took over that game and proved he is probably the best quarterback in the National Football League.
Yeah, he's so good. And the physical traits pop out, but for me, it was the pre-snap recognition on where to go, and it just feels like the game is slowed down for him. And I'm looking at our young player, Trey Lance, for the 49ers, and there's just been so much talked about him. Romo, where are you at on Trey Lance and just all of the hype and people hating on him and left and right? Like, where are you at on Trey Lance this morning?
You know what? I think there's still question marks. So the thing about the National Football League is you got to prove it. And the hype, the athletic ability, you have all the tools, but if you don't go out and execute and kick ass, week in and week out and help the 49ers get to the playoffs and make a Super Bowl run, then, it's a failure because all the other pieces are in place. And, of course, injuries have a lot to play with everything. But this is a big, they're stacked. They have a great football team. They got a fantastic coach. They've got it all, and it's the quarterback position, and they think Trey Lance is the guy to get them over the hump because Jimmy G is a phenomenal quarterback, but he hasn't gotten them to win a Super Bowl. And now that's what's left to prove for the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan is can Trey Lance get them over the hump and win a Super Bowl championship?
Bill Romanowski on the Morning Russell, Josie Actually the Butcher, and Bonte Hill. Is it the right decision to move on right now with this team in place, with the stacked defense, with the running backs, with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle? Is it the right decision right now, Romo, to go to Trey Lance over Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, we're going to find out real quick if Trey Lance is everything that the 49ers thought he was. We're going to find out. Let's just say the first 4 games, we're going to know what we got.
Bill, what are you going to look for?
You're going to look at the end of the day, the most important thing is winning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the key. The next thing, does he make everybody better on offense? The one thing that I still want to see is I want to see him strut out on the field like he owns it. Like I was fortunate. I played with a lot of great quarterbacks. When Joe Montana walked out on the field, he had a certain strut about him. Steve Young. It's like we knew we were going to win. Well, Trey Lance, you don't know that yet. You don't know it till he goes out and proves it and does it week in and week out.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm waiting to see.
All right, so let's flip it to the defensive side because we know that you're a savant when it comes to thinking about the game from a defensive perspective. Nick Bosa, what's not to like about the young man? What do you think is actually in the cards for him in terms of his expectations for this year? It feels like he's primed for a monster season.
He is, if not the best, one of the best, defensive ends in the game. And you got to love his motor. You got to love his intensity. And the guy does not stop. Mm-hmm. And he gets to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he makes plays over and over again. That's the thing. It's like you don't have to look for Bosa. He makes you look at him because of what he does. And the great players, you don't have to look for. They just show up and they just make plays. That's what he is. he's a playmaker, and he's relentless, and he's like I said, one of the best defensive ends in the game right now.
Who does he remind you of?
God, I'm trying to think. I don't think he's not. When I look at the great defensive ends that the Niners have had, you don't look at him and say, "Oh, he's like Charles Haley." No, that's different. It's because of his motor and because of his strength. He plays a different kind of game. We saw a guy last night, Von Miller.
Oh, he's so sick.
Phenomenal player, but he's got a finesse to him. Bosa is a powerful human being. And, he's going to bull rush you. He's going to beat you. He's going to beat you in a number of different ways. He's got it all. And there's not a lot of people you can compare a guy to, because there's guys that have, the finesse. There's guys that have the power, but you usually don't get a guy that has all of it.
When you have these transfers of power at the quarterback position, are there senior players on the team who kind of take leadership, or are you expecting more the head coach and some of the assistant coaches to be more in a position of authority during these kind of power transition spots?
Great question. And I truly believe, with Jimmy G, that, and I look at this as a problem. With Jimmy G, I never felt like it was his team. And I felt like it was Shanahan's team or Bosa's team, but I didn't feel like it was Jimmy G's team.
Is that because of his play? Is that because of everybody else, the stars around him? Why is that?
Hey, let's just call it, injuries. There's a number of different things that play into this. At the end of the day, you have to win Super Bowls, and you've got to be able to lead by example. And, hey, Jimmy G's a great player. When he's out on the field, he wins. But there's just something that he's missing, and I don't know what to put. I don't know what it is. And why do you think the 49ers went out to get Trey Lance when they had Jimmy G? Because there's just something missing there. Jimmy G is phenomenal, really good quarterback. He wins. He does a lot of great things. He can make every throw, but there's something missing. Trey Lance, I think in the beginning, until he proves that he can make everybody better, and this can be his team versus Kyle Shanahan's team or Bosa's team, this team has been, a dominant defensive team, and you could make the argument that the 49ers win because of their defense.
Yeah.
Bill Romanowski.
Kyle Shanahan, the way he designs plays and runs the offense.
Bill Romanowski on the Morning Roast. Real quick, Romo, when you talk about all that and Trey Lance and this football team here, everybody's making a big deal about the captain stuff. Trey Lance is not named a captain. Does that matter who wears the C on their jersey to you? Does that matter in the locker room?
Well, yeah, because, but he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And he hasn't, you prove it in games. You don't prove it in practice. This guy had, a little bit of a season last year and then got hurt. So you have to do it game in and game out. And like I said, you got to make everybody better. And when there's a certain way that Joe Montana walked out onto that field, this way that Steve Young walked out, or a John Elway walked out on that field. There was a confidence. They made everybody better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Right now, Trey Lance has to prove that to his teammates, to his coaches, and to all the fans.
Yeah. Bill, I'm looking at what happened to the team when they lost in the Super Bowl. They come back the next year. I know there was a COVID year. There was a lot of weirdness. Injuries happened galore, but it felt like the team it was a step slower that year in 2020. This year, they lose in the NFC Championship game. I'm watching the Bills and the way they lost last year, and they took it out on the Rams last night. How do the Niners approach Week 1 and the beginning of this season, given how devastating the loss was in the NFC Championship game last year?
What you do is you find a way to win. The great thing about the National Football League is every week you know if you are successful or not, and that's because of looking up at the scoreboard. At the end of the game, when the seconds click off and the minutes click off and the game is over, you know if you are successful or not. And that, to me, is all that matters. I was at a place, at the end of my career across the bay with a guy, Al Davis. Just win, baby. That is real. And it's the only thing that matters in the National Football League is, do you win?
Yep.
And that's all that matters. That's what people remember, and that's what's important.
Romo, real quick before we let you go. Week 1, Soldier Field. You had success there back when the Niners beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. You're on that team when you guys kicked the Bears' ass in that cold weather. Give us a flashback of that, and what would be your message before this team runs out of that tunnel onto Soldier Field to kick off the NFL season?
I think my memories back to Soldier Field is, when we're getting ready to play in the NFC Championship game, we were seeing stuff in the papers. Oh, these guys are warm weather guys. They can't handle the cold. We were hearing all kinds of stuff, and we were quiet all week. And Bill Walsh got us ready to play that. And when we took that field, I remember how cold it was, 30, 40 below zero wind chill. I've never played in a game that cold. But I tell you what, in my mind, it was warm. When I took that field, it was warm out there. I was like, God, can we cool it down out here? And I had that mentality going in. I think everybody had that mentality, and we kicked the crap out of them.
Yeah, Jim McMahon's still frustrated. We're going to actually have him on soon.
What has to happen this week is, trust your preparation. And when you go out and take the field, you let it all, you leave it on the field. You trust that the coaches have got the right game plan, and it's all about trust, and then go out and let it loose and make it happen. The 49ers are going to kill the Bears.
Thank you, Romo.
Is there any better feeling than running out that tunnel to kick off an NFL season on the road as well?
Nothing better. And they are going to kick the crap out of the Bears. I promise you that.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it. Romo, you're the best, man. We'll do it again soon. We can't wait to watch on Sunday.
Okay, take care, guys.
Any problem. Anytime. Phil Romanowski on the Morning Roast.